Hi there. Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lounge, where today we are talking about leading through uncertainty, how to navigate change and inspire resilience. Now, I know this topic really resonates with leaders as a lot of the times you're facing these unpredictable market shifts and organizational changes. Can we just focus on organizational changes for a minute? I've coached and consulted in big tech, and that was every quarter almost. Someone was getting shifted over. Things were changing. It was a constant shift, and it can be scary. So we're going to really talk about organizational change, but I'm going to go into multiple steps on how to get you to just kind of a game plan where you feel like as a leader, you feel empowered. I can do this. I'm going to re-listen to that podcast. I'm going to take a look at those 8 steps that Karie jumped in and told me about. I'm going to take notes. Please take notes by all means. In fact, maybe I'll create a downloadable action step PDF or something, because I love that when it's quick and fast and I can just download it quick. So we might do that. Not going to make any promises because it's more admin work, and I hate admin work. I'm a coach. That's what we do. We lead from the guidelines and then we leave the details to our team. So I'm going to give you 8 steps that are actionable, bite-sized chunks, which if you're a corporate executive or CEO, any type of leader in the leadership team, you're going to get this. That's something that you're used to implementing, a blueprint, a game plan, something that makes you feel confident, because change is always going to happen. Always, right? As I'm recording this, it's September 10th. We're going into fall here in Michigan, and that I'm in northern Michigan, so we're starting to already see colors changing on the trees. It's a reminder. That's what I love about the 4 seasons. And I've just recently moved back from Las Vegas. I was in Vegas for 15 years and then moved to Michigan just a year ago, a little over a year ago now. And the 4 seasons, I truly missed it, the change. I embraced change. At first, when I moved to Vegas, of course, I loved the consistent sunshine, but it gets old after a while. Okay, I know that's shocking. If you're from the Midwest, it's probably shocking to you, but it does get old. I can't. 290 some days of sunshine every day. It was like Groundhog's Day. So change is going to happen, but what are you going to do in that space? And as a leader, all eyeballs are facing you. Every eye is on you. How are they reacting? Do they show uncertainty themselves or any fear? Or are they wavering at all? It's frustrating. It's challenging. That's why you're the leader. You know how to do this. You should be working on yourself consistently so you can be a better leader. It's no different than parenting. When you're going through hard times, your kids are looking at you like, Mom, Dad, what's up? What's going to happen? Should we be afraid? What's going on? So I want you to find that inner calm. And sometimes just having that game plan of knowing what to do creates that calm within. Okay. So just kind of enforcing that as we go into these 8 steps. Now, sometimes there's a crisis you can't overcome, or not overcome, but sometimes you can't prepare for it because you didn't see it. You didn't know it was coming. It's challenging again. I've worked with big tech companies. I'm not going to name names here at this time, but they eliminated a whole department one summer. And we knew things were coming, but we didn't know what. We knew change was coming. And a lot of times you don't find out either as a leader until your team finds out, which is even more challenging and scary because you're going through your own. I feel like I'm walking through life and leading my team with a blindfold on. I can't see what's up ahead. I have to have faith and certainty that I can handle whatever is thrown at me. And you might get the memo just an hour or 2 before your team does, or email, or whatever that internal communication looks like. And I get it. I am here with you. I get it. It's scary. It's frustrating. It's hard to not have a game face on. Sometimes you slip. Maybe it's during a call with your team, whatever that looks like, or your leadership team as well. And I'm going to kind of go deep with you, not just share these steps and tools, but I want to share real life scenarios so you can put yourself in that place and come from a space of empathy, which is what I do with coaching. This is real talk, real life. This isn't just a book. You've got human emotions involved. Business gets messy sometimes. We're not all AI robots over here doing business every day, even though life would be simpler if we just kind of join a meeting, exit the meeting, do your work. Life is good. But that's not realistic at all. We are humans. We have human behavior skills and such, and strengths and weaknesses that come into play every day in the workspace. And as an executive coach, I know that. And as a leadership empowerment coach, I know that. And I come in with that space of realistic expectations. How can you improve your game? What can you work with what you already have? And so on. So let's kind of jump in because, again, things are going to happen. Navigating change as a leader requires kind of a strategic blend of foresight, flexibility, and communication, which is my favorite thing of all, where I excel the most. And here are some of the best tactics, literally, to successfully guide your team through change. Again, think of change is coming. It looks like a tidal wave right now. Instead of literally getting plummeted by the wave and drowning, learn to surf. That's kind of my mindset. I want that picture in your head. How can we learn to surf through this change the best to our ability? Because that's literally what's going to happen. That you can choose for the wave to plummet you, drown you, or have you coming up spitting salt water everywhere, or you can learn to surf, learn to ride the wave. That's when you feel empowered. Ride the wave, you be resilient. And that's when every time I say resilience or anything of that nature, I want you to picture yourself surfing, okay, on that surfboard. So step 1, create a clear vision and purpose. And again, this is for leaders that are going to communicate to their team something's coming. What is that clear vision and purpose? So I want you to define the why. Why are we having this change? Whether it's change in leadership, change of reorganization, maybe we're downsizing, maybe we're growing, whatever that looks like. Maybe we're going to explode and onboard 30, 40, 50 more individuals. It can be lots of things. Put yourself in that space. You've been there already. That's why you tuned into this podcast. Something about it was already interesting to you, right? Like, I've been there, or I'm going to be there. You might be a brand new leader. It's coming. Whether you like it or not, change is ever happening. Okay? Can't stop that. That's one thing I know we will never stop is change. So I want you to define the why. Clearly articulate the reasons behind the change. Connecting it to the company's long-term goals and visions. You've really got to see the bigger picture here. It helps people understand, okay, well, long-term, we need to do this by next year or next month or next quarter. And that helps your team get the picture, the bigger picture, and it helps them stay focused through the day-to-day hairiness of uncertainty. And it's going to happen. Nothing you can do about it, okay? So what does that look like? Set clear objectives. I want you to break down the change into specific, achievable goals so that employees understand what success looks like. Again, chunk it down into set clear objectives. Say that you're going to expand and it's scary because now my team's going to go from 20 to 40 or whatever that looks like. It's going to double. Share that with your team. Like, this is what we want long term. This is the place. This is so important. The human piece. I have to get that in there. Your team needs to know what part or role they're going to play. Where's the gameplay I get to jump in, grab the ball, and run to the finish line? When do I get to step in? What piece do I play? Again, even if there's going to be a downsizing, which is a lot harder to convey to the team, I want them to feel valuable and irreplaceable. Always make your employees and team, I like to use the word team over employee, make them feel like they're a part of the big picture. Really highlight that. You as a leader will be respected so much more if you can get on that level, come off that pedestal that you think is in your head, because you really aren't supposed to be on one in the first place. You're no different than everyone else. You've just been given more responsibility. As a human, you're still the same. Okay, that's just my objective and mindset about people in different roles. You just have a different title, need different roles and responsibilities, maybe a little more responsibility. Let's a little heavier on that. Let's bold the word responsibility. But other than that, we're all humans, okay? We're all humans. We all are wired the same and bleed red, okay? So set those clear objectives. Let them know what success looks like. What part are they going to play, okay? Step 2, transparent communication. I cannot emphasize this enough. This works in everything in your life. Being transparent is huge. Be unfiltered. What does transparency look like? Sometimes it's just coming to your team, with regular updates. Keep lines of communication open and consistent, whether it's an internal newsletter, whether it's a team call you have every Monday. Touch briefly on that change. Okay, that's huge. regularly keeping them updated. Keep those lines of communication open. A lot of whether it's Slack or whatever software program, if it's Microsoft Teams, where do you have a group where you're consistently updating your team? Be open. Some use social media, whatever that looks like, whatever software. Again, internal comms, whatever, it doesn't matter, but be consistent. Giving regular updates is a reassurance. We're still working on this. This is the projected timeline, still to be determined, but we are working on it. Whatever that looks like. There's a reassurance there, a calming effect you're going to give your team, because your team is no good when they're in uncertainty land. You don't want them in that uncertainty lane. Okay. You don't want them playing and working from that space, because they're not going to work from their best mindset. They're going to be in that reptilian survival brain space, which they don't retain information. They can't think clearly. It's in that survival mode. Oh my God, what's in my job going away? Every day they're scared. Nothing productive comes from that space at all. Okay. So I want you to consistently reassure your team. Again, transparent communication, share the progress and challenges of the transition with your team. That's where you have to be vulnerable. Like, I might be frustrated too, guys. This is how I feel in the moment. Even I'm worried about my own job. Even I don't have all the pieces, but this is how I'm choosing to react. Show your leadership skills. I'm uncertain too. I feel a little bit apprehensive, but this is how I'm choosing to react. I'm going to be present in the moment. I'm not going to overcommit anything, and I'm going to be open-minded. That's the best way to do and react to transition. Show them you're the leader. Show them how to respond through your own actions. They're watching you. Trust me. So also in that communication and openness, have a two-way feedback. Encourage, don't just tell them what to do. Encourage feedback, conversation, how they can also interact with you, how they can best reach you, whether it's responding to the email or tagging them in a software post or whatever that looks like. Okay. Again, it depends on whatever software choice you choose. There's so many beautiful ways to inspire your team and connect with them on a day-to-day basis through technology. If you're working in person, even better. Like that communication. My door's always open. The conference room every Tuesday. On our one-on-ones, let's talk then. Always having that two-way feedback, because it's not just telling them what to do, it's encouraging feedback. You want questions, you want feedback from employees to create an inclusive atmosphere where they feel heard and valued. Okay, scratching that valued button again, just tapping on it a little bit, scratching that reassurance rub on the back that they all need. It's just human behavior. Step 3, I want you to lead with empathy. Okay, and I kind of touched on this already a little bit. Acknowledge the uncertainty. Recognize that change can be stressful and unsettling for employees, and that maybe it's working that in your own soul and gut as well. Show empathy by addressing concerns and offering support. Do not be dismissive. I've seen this so many times, and as the consultant or coach on the outside of the team on those calls, and I'll see a team go, hey, any word on that reorg? What's going on? Are we going to shift teams? Don't be dismissive. Oh, no, nothing needed. No, you're good. You're good. Yep, you're good. If anything, that almost feels like I've been dismissed, like my feelings don't matter. You might be trying to convey that you have nothing to worry about, dude. You're totally cool. High five. Life is good. But it comes across as dismissive. So let's not do that as leaders, right? We're going to show that we acknowledge their uncertainty. I feel your feelings. I see them. And then I'm going to address it quick and acknowledge who you are. Again, offering support and concerns is fine. Another little piece that you could do when you're leading with empathy is to be present. Stay visible and accessible throughout the process to reassure your team that you're navigating the challenges right alongside them. Leading is truly being the guide from the side. I love that statement. It could not be more accurate. Literally, that's how I describe myself, being that guide from the side, leading. And I'm not, again, jumping way ahead of you. I've got you. We're walking side by side. You see that kind of that image in your head. You don't have to hold hands. Just saying, link arms. That's what a team is. You're linking arms together. That's where you feel like you're a part of something. It's such a good feeling. Again, staying visible, being accessible, that just creates more angst in your team. Will start to get anxious if they can't see that, oh, there's all this stuff happening, and now my bosses or my manager or my director, whomever, is out of town for the next 3 weeks, or there's all this change coming and they're going to go on leave. Okay, well, who's that next person they can talk to? Create that space. Don't just MIA, be gone. Okay. Step 4, agility and flexibility. Okay. Agility and flexibility. What does this look like? Adapt quickly. Be prepared to pivot when needed. That's a resilience piece you need to do. Flexibility in adjusting plans shows that you're responsive to unforeseen challenges. Your team is looking at you. You're on a call, you learn something new. So-and-so, let's just kind of create a scenario. So-and-so's canceling. I just heard that the such and such team is going to cancel our big quarterly call next week on Thursday. Okay, great. Well, what's Friday look like, or Monday, or when are we rescheduling? Learn to pivot quickly, especially in front of your team. This is going to create confidence in you. They're going to be more confident around you. They're going to have more confidence in your ability, which creates a happy confidence vibe through the whole team. Okay, so learn to adapt quickly. Again, pivot as needed and calmly. I've seen some great executives that I've worked with, and one comes to mind, and he was always so resilient to change. You could see it. He's on camera. His team would mention something, and he'd be like, okay, well, this is what we'll do. We'll think about it for a second. Let's pivot over here. I think that would be a good choice. Excellent leader. Excellent. Great to work with. Loved it. Loved our time together. Also, I want you through this agility and flexibility step to empower your team. Give employees the autonomy to experiment and adapt their own workflows to the change, which increases buy-in and reduces that resistance that shows up. Okay, can we just focus on a favorite word of mine? Autonomy. Everyone should love this word as much as me. And maybe it's just in my DNA. I don't know. I'm a freedom chaser. I love to work in flow. I think more creativity shows up when we're in autonomy space of going with the flow, doing what we need to do, getting what we need done. Give your employees or your team that space to show you what they're made of. That's where leadership qualities show up. Give them a projected timeline. What do you expect? Show them expectations, what kind of product you want, or whatever that looks like. Within 2 months, I'm going to want this delivered, and let them breathe. Give them some space. Loosen that leash. Micromanagement kills teams. When you kill your team, you kill the company, right? It has that ripple effect of teams that have turned into trash. It turns into a company going bankrupt, right? All of this has a ripple effect, and it starts with you as a leader, no pressure. But I want you to see how important it is to work on yourself. It's huge. It costs the company millions and millions and billions when you don't do this. When leaders, not you in particular, when leaders don't work on themselves to be true leaders. Your team is looking at you, okay? So empower your team and then step back. Step back. I cannot emphasize that enough. Okay. Step 5, build trust and resilience. Again, that's that resilience word that keeps popping up over and over again. It's so important. Lead by example. That's the step within the step. Okay. Step within step 5. Lead by example. Demonstrate confidence and resilience in the face of uncertainty. And your team will take cues from your behavior. Again, they're watching you. They're watching your facial expressions, everything. This is when it's like, and I keep talking like a virtual team because so many companies are virtual these days, including myself and how I work. I cannot emphasize it enough. You've got the camera on. This is when they're watching you. If you're in a boardroom, they're watching you. When you're going to your desk in person, they're watching you. How you approach the team every morning as you're coming in from the parking lot or wherever, they're watching you. I know it's intense. I get it. That's why I do what I do. I'm that confident person on the side so you can share this with. It gets lonely at the top, right? Let's admit it, it does. but you get to be the leader. You get to shine in this moment. This is where you're going to just exude respect from your team because they're watching you. Okay. Watching you. Cues from your behavior, watch your body language, all of it, your facial expressions. Demonstrate the confidence. Like, we've got this team. I believe in myself and I believe in you. I cannot stress enough, before you even lead a team, you should always go inward and first lead yourself. First learn to lead yourself. That's another topic for another day. Another step within step 5 is celebrate the small wins. Acknowledge milestones and progress during the change process, which helps maintain momentum and morale. So the change sometimes happens all overnight. I know it sometimes feels that way, but there was a time where it was just an idea in a boardroom somewhere before the baby steps showed up, which turned into leaps and big steps and scary steps. Celebrate the small wins. Like, okay, guys, we're going to bring on 30 people. Okay, we're at 10. How's everyone doing with the onboarding process? Are you encouraging the new hires? Are they ramping up okay? What kind of speed bumps are they encountering? Again, it goes back to that feedback that you need and so on. But celebrate the small wins. It's going to help your team see, okay, this is a process. We're doing okay. It's still scary, but we're running towards the finish line, even though we're getting a little distracted by what's over here and over there and everywhere, but we're still running. Like, we're still on board, and they need to see that affirmation with you. Yep, good job, guys. We're not quite there. We're going to get there. It's all good. Whether it's an inflation to life and your career, or it's a deflation, which is not as fun when you're downsizing and shrinking, but it's the same process. Change is change. Okay. Step 6, as we get a little bit closer towards the tail end of this podcast, I hope you're getting some great feedback and just steps and strategies and making notes and all that good stuff. Step 6, provide resources and support. Training and development, if you can. Oh my goodness, this is so important. How to handle this change. Offer training or skill building opportunities to help employees adjust to the new systems or ways of working. If they're going to have to shift quickly, and I've seen this again, especially in big tech, this department is going to morph into this department. Okay, when? We keep hearing about it. When's it happen? I've seen this so many times. I think it's a rumor. Maybe it's not a rumor. Maybe it's truth. Oh, it's happening all at once. Okay, but where's my place in this new team? Where do I belong? I know my role before, but now what? Is this new hat that I'm wearing different? Is it the same brand? Is it the same color? Is my expectations, is my KPIs this? I mean, there's so many questions. You need to, and I've seen so many companies really screw this up. And guess what happens when you screw it up? Turnover. And guess what costs more money in the long run to every company is turnover. You know this. I know this. Okay. If you can offer training or some type of skill building opportunity to help them with this upcoming change, you're going to have an equipped team. Now, it's not just a team guessing their way through it and floundering and feeling like a failure every day, which does not create morale. There's no high morale when you feel like a failure every day. You need to come into a space where, even if it's on the fly, you've heard to build a plane as you're flying it. Most companies have had to do that, and I've seen it multiple times. They're putting out fires and they're reacting. They're not being proactive. They're more reactive. No matter how it works, if you can somehow get some type of skilling into momentum into the hands of your team, it's going to make a huge difference. Huge. And on the tail end of that, if you can have some support systems, like create a network of support, whether it's mentoring, coaching, peer groups, anything to help your team adapt smoothly. So don't just throw training at them. I want a sounding board. I want a team. I want a group, a workshop with, in person or in real life type of training, not just go do this, listen to this video, have a nice day. Can they come back if it's in-person training, or if it's on their own type of learning at their own pace, which is fine too. Everyone has a learning curve and a learning style. Make sure it's visual and adaptive and all those things. Interactive is even better. It's going to stick better. You can adapt the audio learning style with the visual and the kinesthetic all together. Is hands-on training, truly. It just sticks better with some engagement. So In real life, it's possible if you can do that type of training. If not, do it at a self-pace, whatever that looks like online. But give them a space where they have support. Like, hey, I have a question about module 2. I got stuck here. I have no clue what I'm supposed to do. Who can they ask? Where can they post that question? Is it being monitored? Don't just create a support system and then not monitor it, okay? Lots of details, I know, but you want this big giant company that you're leading to win or what? It takes many moving parts behind the scenes to make success happen. It's not an overnight process by all means. Step 7, to encourage innovation. That's what I want you to do in step 7. Encourage innovation. Give your employees and your team some breathing room to actually grow here. Foster that growth mindset. Encourage your team to see change as an opportunity for growth, learning, and innovation. This helps shift their perspective from fear to what is possible. I love that. Now, keep in mind, your team, they're not all wired the same. Some are just pop out of the womb with a growth mindset. Some do, I swear, which is why I always encourage that you know each personality assessment of your team, how they're wired. I like to use the DISC assessment, DISC. That's where I'm certified and work the most within teams. I can spot a high DISC and know exactly how that person's wired or where they play. I can kind of see their assessments, what their skill sets are, how quick they are to change. If they're high S in the DISC assessment, they're going to probably push back on the change. High Cs don't like change as well. They want to read through everything first and really process it. They tend to be more detail oriented and can be overthinkers. Know your team. Okay. Some are going to have a harder time fostering a growth mindset than others. Some are going to just snap to it. Okay. That's just how it is. Collaborate on the solutions. Okay. Involve key team members in brainstorming solutions and strategies during the change process to promote creativity and ownership. When someone comes up with their own idea, they're like, yes, so running all the way to the finish line with this one. It was my idea. There's so much job value in that. There's so much value in ownership. Give them a piece of the pie, a piece of the puzzle or project, whatever that looks like. Give them that space to take it and run with it. You will see so much pride in that ownership. You will see morale go up. I know when I was given a project, it was like, this one's my baby. This one's mine. I'm going to see it to the end. And it's great. There's that ownership. There's that pride there. They will pay attention to the details. They'll listen better on team calls. They'll learn and grow with you. Now it's not so scary. It's not something that's being done to me. It's something that's happening with me and my teammates, with me and my executive leader, whoever that is. And lastly, just as most important, step 8, monitor and adjust. If you can get a monitor type of system in place, I've done lots of project management. I've dealt with software that kind of monitors that. If you can get that system in place, even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet, do what you got to do. There's monitoring project software out there. There's a ton of beautiful ways to monitor the timeline and how things are going. And when your team can see that visually in real time, this is the step we're on. This is how far we've come. This is how much further we have to go yet. It's huge. Okay. So monitor and adjust with continuous feedback loops, regularly assessing the change as it's progressing. Like if it's a chart, color, timeline, make it visually friendly. I'm such a visual person, but I know a lot of others as well. Be willing to tweak your approach based on what's working, what isn't. And when you see it real time, you can be like, oh, that didn't work. Let's go over here. We're going to have to pivot. We're going to jump over here and here and here and here. That's just a part of the process, guys. Okay. Also, stay agile with metrics. Use KPIs, data-driven insights to track the impact of the changes and make real-time adjustments. If you're an executive and you're in a leadership role, you're already familiar with data. Okay. You already know that there's going to be numbers. That's how you can tell how you're doing in your business or your role. The numbers don't lie. They tell a story, but I'll always say this, they don't always tell the whole story. So make sure you get all the details. Like, why didn't we hit our sales goal today? Well, it's because 5 of your team out of 8 were out sick. Oh, see what I mean? The numbers don't tell the whole story. It's always a backstory, but be fluid with those metrics, but also have them, whether it's their key performance indicators, KPIs, some type of data-driven insights, and just kind of track the impact of the changes. I really truly believe that using these tactics, leaders can navigate change effectively while fostering that culture of resilience, adaptability, and engagement within their organizations. The key is, again, I cannot stress it enough. If you're an executive, you've been trusted with this position. You could have been chosen out of lack of choice. Maybe it was just your turn to get a promotion. Maybe there was just, it is what it is, or you were kind of grandfathered in because you're the company's son, or you're the company owner's son. There's a million reasons why you have this job. But I want to just pause with some final thoughts. Do not, by all means, take it for granted that you were given this role. You were placed in this particular role for a reason, okay? And your role is to create more leaders. As a leader, your job is to create more leaders, not followers, more leaders. So as I just recap these 8 steps real quick as I close, I want you to just hold that space. I was given this role as a leader for a reason. And my job, I want you to say it with me, my job is to create more leaders, not followers. And never ever feel like, that person's going to take my job. That's not how it works. A true leader never has that fear. You're going to keep growing as your team keeps growing. And as your team keeps growing, it makes you look even better. It's a win-win. It's a full circle effect here of winning and success. So real quick, I'm going to recap those 8 steps just to make sure you can look at your notes, make sure you've got them in place. Step 1, create a clear vision and purpose. Step 2, transparent communication. Let me go. There's 2 bullets beneath each step, and I do want to touch base on that. Let me recap that real quick. Step 1, clear vision and purpose. Define the why. Clearly articulate the reasons behind the change. The second bullet is set clear objectives. Break down the change into specific achievable goals. Step 2, transparent communication with regular updates and 2-way feedback. Step 3, lead with empathy. Acknowledge the uncertainty and be present. Step 4, agility and flexibility. Adapt quickly, be prepared to pivot when needed. Empower your team. Step 5, build trust and resilience by leading by example and celebrating the small wins. Step 6, provide resources and support. Get that training and development in place with support systems so they have a place to ask questions and so on. Step 7, encourage innovation, foster a growth mindset with your team, collaborate on solutions, let them be a part of the solution piece. It's huge. It's huge. Step 8, the last step, monitor and adjust with continuous feedback loops and stay agile with your metrics, okay? I know this was a lot to digest all at once. I get it. And you might have to listen to it a couple times. It's okay. I get it, okay? But save this podcast episode wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever. Download it to your phone because you're going to need it. Change is inevitable. Especially the bigger the corporation, the more change there is. It's just consistent. It was just nonstop. When I worked with other big tech companies, it was nonstop. You'd just be recovering from one change, getting ready to go in another. It was just a consistent roller coaster ride. And the faster you can get these steps in place, the more irreplaceable you look as a leader because you can adapt to change quickly. It's a big one. Big one, okay? I know this is helpful. I already know it. And I'm grateful you listened today. Thank you for being a part of my audience. Share this with someone you know that's also struggling or just feel like they're drowning. We want them to learn how to surf too, right? This is for everybody. Big hugs, big love. I'll see you on the next episode.